Long ago, before humans traveled to other planets, there were stories told by old alien races. These stories spoke about a world covered in blue and green. The stories said that one day, people from this world would rise and change the galaxy. But as time passed, many forgot the stories. Some even laughed at them. The galaxy was full of powerful races. They had large cities on many planets. Their ships were fast and strong. They thought they had nothing to fear. When Earth sent its first message to the stars, the Council of Races welcomed them. The Council was a group of the oldest and richest alien civilizations. They made the rules for the galaxy. At first, the Council was polite. They gave Earth a small place in the talks. But behind the smiles, they laughed. They saw humans as weak and simple. They said humans were new children playing in a world they did not understand. Some called Earth a joke. Others called them a passing shadow. Lena Carter was a young woman, working for the Earth diplomatic mission. She was smart and calm. She spent her time learning alien languages and old writings. Her work was not very important to others, but she loved it. One day, she was sent to a planet called Zenthra Prime. This planet had ruins and books from thousands of years ago. While she was reading an old wall writing, she found something strange. The words spoke about a race that would rise from a world of oceans and storms. The writing said that this race would walk the stars and bring change. The last line said, "The fire will come from the blue and the old ways will fall." Lena felt cold. These words sounded like the old stories from Earth. She took pictures and sent them back to her team. Most of them did not care. They said the words were just stories. But Lena felt something was different. She kept reading and found more lines that matched. She began to think that the stories were about humans. At the same time, Commander Alan Brooks led a group of human ships near the edge of human space. He was quiet and serious. His job was to protect human colonies. The fleet was small. They did not have powerful weapons like the other races. But Alan trained his people well. He told them to always be ready. One day, the Andori raiders attacked a human colony. They came without warning and destroyed everything. Thousands of people died. The Council said nothing. They told Earth to stay calm. But Alan did not stay calm. He followed the raiders and attacked them. He used smart moves and traps. He beat the raiders with fewer ships. The other races watched and were surprised. They did not think humans could fight. Now they saw that humans could win. Some began to worry. Others still laughed. The Council called Earth to a meeting. They told the human leaders to stop. They blamed Earth for the fight. They gave Earth a fine and told them to be careful. Alan was told to come back home. The leaders on Earth agreed, but in secret they started building new ships. They worked in silence. Lena kept looking for more stories. She found them in different places, some in books, some on walls. All of them spoke about a new race that would bring change. They all said the same thing. The end would not come with big battles. It would come with something new, something no one had seen before. One night, Lena sat alone and read one of the lines again. They will be ignored, then feared, then followed. She thought about Alan, about the ships, and about Earth. The words started to make sense. Far away, Alan trained his team harder. He told them, "We are not here to conquer. We are here to survive." He taught them how to move without being seen, how to use every part of a ship, how to turn weakness into strength. The fleet grew stronger. Other human leaders met in secret. They did not trust the council. They remembered how the council laughed. They decided that Earth would not wait for help. Earth would help itself. New weapons were made. New plans were drawn. Everything was kept quiet. The galaxy still did not care. They thought humans were strange and loud. They watched human shows and read human news for fun. They never thought humans could be dangerous. But the signs were there. Ships were moving. Messages were sent. People were training. The fire was growing slowly and deep in the Varelian archives. Where the first prophecy was written, a new scribe looked at an old book. He saw a symbol for Earth. He whispered to himself, "The time is close." He was right. The galaxy did not know it yet, but something was coming, and it would not be stopped. Asterisk, Commander Alan Brooks sat in the command chair of the ship Horizon. The stars outside the window looked calm, but he knew danger was never far. The Andor raiders had been quiet since their last defeat, but Alan did not trust silence. He had learned that peace in space never lasted. He trained his crew every day. They practiced drills, fixed the ship, and tested new ideas. Alan told them, "We win not with power, but with our minds." The crew respected him. They worked hard. They believed in the mission. In the human colonies near the edge, fear was still in the air. People built walls and defense towers. Farmers learned to use weapons. They knew that help from the council would not come. They looked to the Earth fleet for safety. They looked to Alan Dot back on Earth. Secret meetings took place. Leaders, scientists, and officers came together. They shared one goal. Earth had two. Be ready. The council was not a friend. It only cared about power. The new Earth plan was simple. Build in silence. Prepare for anything. Trust no one outside. Ships were built underground and deep in space. They were fast and sharp. New engines were tested. New shields were made. These ships did not follow council laws. They followed human survival. Lena Carter continued her work on alien languages. She found more pieces of the prophecy. One message said, "They will rise from pain. They will not be many, but they will be strong." Another said, "They will learn fast, and they will not forget." Lena shared her findings with a few trusted people. Many still thought the prophecy was just old stories, but some began to wonder. Too many lines matched what was happening now. Too many signs pointed to Earth in the Varelian archives. A scholar named Ryle began to look into the old records. He saw that the prophecy appeared in more than one culture. It was not from just one world. It had spread across systems. That meant it was old. Very old. He brought his findings to the council. The leaders listened, but showed no worry. The head speaker, a tall being with silver skin, laughed and said, "Let the humans think they are special. They will learn their place." But Rael did not laugh. He had seen what the humans did to the Anduri. He had seen the new movements in space. He knew change was near. Meanwhile, on the horizon, Alan received news. A new colony, Vega Point, had gone silent. No message had come for 3 days. The last signal showed ships in the sky. Unknown ships. Alan gave the order. His fleet moved fast. The journey took 2 days. When they arrived, Vega Point was burning. The colony was gone. Only smoke and broken buildings were left. Alan looked at the screen. He spoke one word, "Why?" A small group of survivors was found hiding in caves. They spoke of tall, dark ships with glowing red lines. They said the attack was fast and without warning. The attackers did not speak. They just destroyed. Alan knew it was not the Anduri. This was something new. Something worse. He sent a message. To Earth, he wrote. Vega Point destroyed. Unknown enemy, fast, silent, dangerous. We need answers. The Council did not reply. Earth did. Back on Earth, leaders started the second phase of the plan. It was called Echo Shield. It was a defense system that could hide ships and bases. It used old tech in new ways. Earth engineers worked day and night. They knew war was coming. Lena was sent to a nearby world called Telvan. She was to meet with old scholars and look for more lines of the prophecy. She found a wall painting there. It showed a star breaking open, and from it came a blue light. The light turned into ships. Under the painting were words. They come not as rulers, but as answers. She copied the words and sent them to Earth. One of the scientists who read the message whispered, "I think this is about us." At the same time, more strange attacks began in other parts of space. Small colonies from many races went dark. Some thought it was a plague. Others blamed old enemies. But those who looked close saw the same red lines in the sky. The Council still did not act. They sent small teams to check, but they told the galaxy not to worry. They said everything was under control. Alan did not believe them. He sent scouts into deep space. One scout, a young pilot named Eli, found something. A ship with no flag, no ID, moving without sound. When he got close, the ship turned and fired. Eli escaped, but just barely. He sent the data back to Alan. The readings were strange. The ship used tech no one had seen before. It did not match any known race. Alan called his officers. He said, "We are facing something new. It is not about borders. It is not about power. This is about survival." The crew nodded. They understood. On Telvan, Lena walked through the old ruins at night. She felt the wind and looked at the stars. She thought of Earth, of Alan, of the people who still believed in peace. She said to herself, "We did not ask for this, but we will not run." The stars above were quiet, but the fire had started, and it would spread. The galaxy was watching. The prophecy was waking. The sky above Draylen Sector was filled with stars, but something darker moved between them. The Zorith Dominion had arrived. Their ships were big, with sharp edges and black metal. They did not send a message. They just started to attack. The Zorith believed they were the strongest. They ruled many worlds. They thought Draylen would fall in days. They had crushed others before. They did not fear humans. But this time, they were wrong. Captain Dana Mitchell was in charge of the defense of Draylen. She had grown up in a small colony where people learned to work hard and never give up. She was fast to think, and she always stayed calm. Her fleet was smaller, but she had trained her crew well. When the Zorith attacked, Dana did not meet them head-on. Instead, she used traps. Her ships hid in asteroid fields. They moved like shadows. She used old cargo ships filled with explosives. When Zorith ships got close, they exploded. Dana also used the planet's magnetic storms to hide her signals. The Zorith could not find her fleet. They fired into the dark, wasting their weapons. For 5 days, Dana and her fleet held them back. Her ships hit fast and then vanished. The Zorith became angry. They sent more ships, but Dana already had a new plan. She called for help, not with words, but with a code. The code was only known to Earth's secret command. The answer came to days later. From deep space, Earth's hidden fleet arrived. These ships were not like the old ones. They had no nameplates. They had black armor and silent engines. They looked like shadows in the stars. Commander Alan Brooks led them. He said only one line to his crew: no mistakes. The attack began at night. The new Earth fleet moved without sound. They hit the Zorith from behind. One by one, the enemy ships exploded. The Zorith commanders were confused. They had never seen ships move like that. Their shields failed. Their signals were jammed. Dana joined the fight with her own fleet. Now the battle was even. The Zorith were strong, but they were not ready for human tricks. In just 3 days, the Zorith ships were destroyed or forced to run. The rest of the galaxy watched in shock. The news spread fast. Humans had won against the Zorith, and not just with power, but with skill. On many planets, people cheered. On others, leaders became afraid. The Council of Races called an emergency meeting. Some members shouted that Earth was becoming dangerous. Others said Earth was only defending itself. The Council argued for hours, but no action was taken. Meanwhile, Earth leaders met in secret again. They knew what the Council might do. Earth had broken many Council rules. The secret fleet was proof, but the leaders did not care. They saw what the Zorith did to Draylen. They knew more danger was coming. Lena Carter was now a senior envoy. She traveled to nearby systems, speaking to small worlds that were under Council control. She brought food, medicine, and hope. In one system, she met a leader of a mining colony. He said, "We always thought the Council protected us. But now we see they protect only the powerful. You humans fight for those with no voice." Lena replied, "We fight because we know what it feels like to be ignored. We remember." In secret, the colony offered Earth an alliance. They would share fuel and data. Other colonies began to do the same. A quiet movement had started. Back on Draylen, Dana stood near the wreckage of a Zorith ship. She picked up a small piece of the enemy hull. It was burned and cracked. She looked at her second officer and said, "They thought we were weak." "They were wrong." The officer nodded. "What happens now?" Dana answered. "Now they will fear us." At the same time, deep in Council space, a group of younger leaders met in private. One of them, from a water world, said, "I have seen what humans did on Draylen. I believe they are not like the others. Maybe the prophecy is real," another said. "If it is, then the galaxy is about to change." In the Varelian archives, Rael read the old lines again. He found one he had missed before. It said, "The dark will fall not by numbers, but by the spark of one world." He closed the book and whispered, "The spark has come." On Earth, the people did not celebrate. They built more ships. They trained more officers. They knew the fight was not over. They knew others would come. But for the first time, they felt hope. The stars were quiet for now, but war was coming again, and this time humanity was ready. The news of Earth's victory in the Draylen sector spread across the stars. On small worlds, in hidden corners of the galaxy, people whispered the name of Earth with new meaning. No longer seen as weak or new, humans were now seen as strong, smart, and dangerous. Across Council space, many began to wonder, could the humans really be the ones from the old stories? Some laughed, some feared, but others started to hope. In the minds of Sulcanine workers had lived under the control of the Groven regime for years. The Grovans were cruel and gave the miners only the food they needed to survive. But now, those same miners had heard about Earth's fleet. They had heard how humans had defeated the Zorith. One night, a young miner named Caleb stood up in the tunnels and said, "If humans can fight, so can we. We do not have to stay silent." The others looked at each other. Then they stood with him. The first spark of rebellion had started. On other worlds, the same thing happened. Farmers on Astari's moons stopped paying taxes to the council. Small planets in the outer ring declared they would follow no laws unless they were fair. The galaxy was changing. Earth did not tell these people to rise, but the people rose anyway. They saw Earth as a symbol, a sign that the old powers could fall. Lena Carter traveled from system to system, helping where she could. She brought supplies to rebels and spoke to leaders of small worlds. She did not promise power. She promised respect. She told them, "We do not come to rule. We come to stand beside you." Many believed her, some did not. But the number of friends to Earth grew. In a hidden meeting on a forest planet, leaders from 10 different worlds met with Lena. One of them said, "We have always followed the council because we had no choice. Now we see we do have a choice. We will stand with Earth." Back on Earth, the leaders watched the galaxy shift. They knew the council would not stay quiet for long. Plans were made, more ships were built, new weapons were tested, and every day, more colonies joined Earth's cause. Commander Alan Brooks stayed in the outer sectors. He and his fleet watched for any new attacks. They helped protect the colonies that had joined the rebellion. Alan was proud but careful. He knew the enemy would strike again. One night, Alan met with his officers. He said, "The council sees us as a threat. Soon they will act. We need to be ready for anything." The officers agreed. They worked harder, faster, and smarter. The fleet moved like a single mind, always ready. Meanwhile, Dana Mitchell was sent to help train the new forces from allied planets. She showed them how humans fought. She taught them to move in silence, to think like hunters, and to use every tool around them. Some of the new recruits had never held a weapon before, but they learned fast. Dana saw something in them. They were hungry for freedom. She said, "You fight not for Earth, but for your own future." On one of the training days, Dana spoke to a young woman named Risa from the moon Jovan. Risa said, "We always thought we were alone, but now I know we are not. Thank you for that." Dana smiled and replied, "Now we fight together." In the council chamber, the leaders of the old powers met in secret. They were angry. They said Earth was breaking. The balance? They said Earth was dangerous. The head of the Grovan regime slammed his fist on the table. "We must stop this now. If we wait, we lose everything." Others agreed, but some feared a full war. One leader said, "If we attack Earth, the people will rise even more." Earth has become more than a planet. It has become a voice. But in the end, the decision was made. A massive fleet would be sent, not just to stop Earth, but to crush the idea of rebellion across the galaxy. The fleet began to gather in a system near Varelian space. Thousands of ships, the largest force ever created by the Council. The plan was to end Earth's rise once and for all. Back on Earth, Lena received a message from a friend inside the Council. It said only one thing: they are coming. She ran to warn the leaders. Alan was called. Dana was recalled. Earth knew the time had come, but Earth did not panic. The leaders stood tall. The people were ready. The Allies across the stars sent messages of support. Supplies and fighters moved toward Earth space. Alan looked at the new map. So many dots, so many systems had joined them. He said, "They are not just coming for us. They are coming for all who dare to be free." Dana stood next to him and said, "Then we will not fight alone." In the sky above Earth, the black ships of the hidden fleet began to move into position. New defenses turned on, and deep in space, human engineers activated something they had built in secret. It was called the Eye, a giant system of sensors, shields, and weapons hidden inside a moon. Earth was ready. The Council's fleet was large, but they did not know what waited for them. The stars watched in silence. The final battle had not started yet, but the fire was burning, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The Council's fleet moved through the stars like a wave. Thousands of ships flew together, ready for war. The leaders of the old powers watched with cold eyes. They believed this attack would crush Earth and all who supported it. They wanted to show the galaxy that rebellion would not be allowed. But Earth was not afraid. Commander Alan Brooks stood on the command deck of the Horizon. The black armored ships of Earth's secret fleet were behind him, waiting in silence. Alan looked calm, but his eyes were sharp. He knew this battle would change everything. Dana Mitchell stood beside him. She had trained fighters from 20 different worlds. Many were not soldiers, but they were ready. She said, "This is not just about Earth anymore. This is for everyone who wants to live free." Alan nodded. "Then we must win." Lena Carter was on a station above Earth. She watched as messages came in from allies across the galaxy. Ships from rebel worlds were on their way. Some were old and slow, but they carried brave people who had chosen to fight. The Council fleet entered Varelian space. This was close to the place where the first prophecy had been written. It was a place of history. Now it would be a place of war. Earth sent one last message to the Council. It was short. "We will not kneel. We will not run. We will stand." The Council sent no reply. Their ships moved forward. Alan gave the order. The human fleet began to move. They did not fly in straight lines. They moved in small groups, hidden by dust clouds and debris fields. Earth's ships did not shine. They were dark and quiet. When the first shots were fired, they came from nowhere. Council ships exploded before they could find the enemy. The humans had jammed their signals and confused their sensors. The Council fleet fired back, but they hit nothing. Then Dana's forces attacked. Fighters from rebel planets joined the fight. They flew together, fast and wild. They did not have better weapons, but they had heart. They hit the weak points of the enemy ships and disappeared before being caught in the middle of the battle. Earth activated the Eye. A small moon near the edge of the system came to life. Hidden doors opened. Large guns turned and fired beams of energy that broke through the shields of the Council fleet. The Eye sent out waves that blocked enemy systems. Many Council ships went blind. Lena watched it all from the station. She saw enemy ships fall like stars, but she also saw human and ally ships break apart. She knew the cost would be high. One of Earth's ships was hit hard. It began to fall toward a nearby planet. The pilot, a young man from Solkanine, sent his last message. "Tell my people we are not slaves anymore." Alan saw the message and said, "He will be remembered." The battle lasted for hours. Space was filled with fire, smoke, and broken ships. But the Council was losing. Their leaders did not understand. They had more ships, better tech, but they did not have unity. They did not fight for each other. Earth and its allies fought like one body. They shared information, protected each other, and used every trick they knew. Dana led a final charge. Her ship flew straight into the middle of the Council fleet. Others followed. They broke the enemy lines. One of Dana's officers said, "We are inside." "What now?" Dana said. "End it." Earth's ships moved fast and struck hard. The main control ships of the Council fleet were destroyed. The rest began to run. Some surrendered. Some vanished into deep space. The battle was over. The silence, after, was deep. Ships floated in space, some broken, some still burning. Messages of victory were sent. Across the galaxy, people cheered. On rebel worlds, bells rang. In the mines of Solkar 9, workers threw down their chains. On the moons of flags of freedom were raised. Earth had won. But it was more than a victory. It was a beginning. Lena stood before the council chamber, now silent and half empty. She spoke to the remaining members. "You laughed at the prophecy. You ignored the people. You ruled with fear. But today, the galaxy has changed. We do not seek power. We seek peace. We seek respect." The council members said nothing. Alan, Dana, and Lena returned to Earth. The people welcomed them as heroes. But they did not celebrate for long. They began to rebuild. They helped their allies. They started new talks with planets that wanted change. A new group was formed. Not a council, but a circle. Each world had a voice. Each world had a choice. Earth did not lead it. It was only a part of it. In the Varelian archives, the old books were opened again. A new line was added beside the prophecy. They came not with crowns, but with open hands, not to rule, but to rise. The fire of one world lit the path for many. And so the stars burned with new hope. The prophecy had come true, and the galaxy would never laugh at humans again. Months passed since the final battle in Varelian space. The galaxy was quiet, but not the same. The old council was gone. Their flags were taken down from many planets. In their place, new voices were rising. People who had never been heard before now spoke with strength. On Earth, the leaders met again. They sat in a large room, plain and simple. No golden walls, no high chairs. They called it the Unity Hall. There were no kings, no masters, just people who wanted peace. Lena Carter stood at the front. She spoke with calm and clear words. "This is not our victory alone. Many stood with us. Many gave their lives. We must build something better, something that lasts." The others agreed. So they began the work of building the circle. It was not perfect. Many worlds had different needs, different ideas, but they all shared one goal: freedom and respect for every world. Dana Mitchell returned to training. She opened a new school on a space station. She called it the Star Forge. Here, young men and women from every allied world came to learn, not just to fight, but to lead. One student from Jovan asked, "Why do we train, even after the war is over?" Dana replied, "Because peace must be protected, and not with fear, but with wisdom." Alan Brooks stayed with the fleet. He did not like talking in big meetings. He liked being where he could help. He traveled to the edge of space, checking on new colonies, making sure no new threats were hiding. In the dark corners of the galaxy, some still held hate. Some old council leaders had escaped. They moved in shadows, hoping to build power again. but they found fewer followers. Most people were tired of fear. They wanted light. On Sulcanine, the mines were turned into schools and homes. Children now played where men once worked in chains. An old miner named Caleb walked through the halls. He smiled and said, "We thought no one would hear us. Then Earth did." On the moons of Astari, artists painted stories of the war. One painting showed a human ship surrounded by fire, flying forward. Under it were the words, "They did not run." Lena was invited to speak on many worlds. On a planet called Farah, she stood before a large crowd. She said, "We are not perfect, but we try. That is what makes us human, and now what makes us one family." People clapped. They smiled. Some cried at the Varelian archives. Ryle still worked. He had copied the full prophecy. He added one more line. The end of the old was not the end of hope. It was the start of something new. One day, a small ship arrived at Earth from a distant star. Inside was a message from a race never seen before. They had heard of Earth and its actions. They wanted to join the circle. Earth welcomed them. Soon, more unknown voices came forward. Some were shy, some were strong, but all were welcomed. The galaxy was no longer ruled by fear. It was guided by choice. Dana walked the halls of the Starforge, watching new students train. One student fell during practice. He looked sad. Dana helped him up and said, "Falling is part of learning. What matters is standing again." Alan visited a new station being built near the edge. A young officer asked, "Do you think peace will last?" Alan looked at the stars and said, "Not unless we keep working for it." And they did. Every day, ships moved between worlds, carrying food, ideas, and stories. Some stories were sad, others were full of hope. All of them mattered in the Unity Hall. A child from a desert planet stood before the leaders. She held a small flag she had made. It showed stars in a circle. She said, "This is our home now." "The whole sky," Lena smiled. "Yes," she said, "the whole sky," and the stars seemed brighter than ever before.